Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Combat Ready HQ. I hope you are all well. We are looking at 10 reasons the F-35 is now more advanced than you think. One of the best fighter aircrafts in the world. Most probably not as good as the F-22 Raptor. That is just known as the best fighter in the world, and aircrafts just do not come close to it. But this is multi-role, adaptable, and should be able to fit any sort of situation and mission. So I'm very interested to see what US military news have to say about this. Check the original video in the description. And the community is growing, so join the free Discord, give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, become a channel member. We've got some Combat Ready HQ merchandise and coffee getting released soon. But what we're going to do, we're going to get into the video, comment with what your thoughts are on the video and what you want to see next. But yeah, looking forward to this. Let's go.
The F-35 Lightning II is now the world's most dominant multi-role fighter. Its detection range, geolocation, threat identification, and system response capabilities allow the jet to precisely fix and destroy the most advanced threats in the world, including every layer of Russia's latest SA-20 surface-to-air missile, SAM, system. While it still has several rough edges, the F-35 has now crossed several thresholds that make it the most lethal and cost-effective fighter in or nearing production within the NATO alliance. Here are 10 things you need to know about this stealth fighter.
Look at that. Straight up.
1.
First of all, it just looks unreal. Look at it. Just looks perfect in my eyes. It's amazing how fighter jets look now. Beauty.
The first US F-35 A-Wing is fully equipped and already executing combat deployments. The maneuvering restrictions the jet had when first introduced are now completely removed. Even with a complete internal weapons loadout and full internal fuel, pilots can fight without limitation. Last year I interviewed 30 pilots at Hill Air Force Base, and all 20 with previous experience in fourth-generation fighters said they would rather fly the F-35 in combat than their previous rides.
Nice.
That preference held for almost every dogfight scenario they could imagine.
Oh, sounds wonderful when you hear that go off.
2. The price of the Lightning has fallen below even the most optimistic government targets. In 2018, the Congressional Research Service estimated that an F-35A produced in 2020 would cost $77.5 million using constant 2012 dollars. Translating that cost estimate to current year dollars makes the price of each F-35A $87.1 million. The
$87.15 million per aircraft. And the US Air Force, US military is not small. They're going to be having to order in a few of these.
Actual cost of an F-35A in fiscal year 2021 is $79.2 million, and it's expected to fall to $77.9 million in 2022.
Good that it's dropping,
$9.2 million cheaper than the government's best estimate using current year dollars. 3. The F-35A now costs less than any other Ally-produced fourth-plus generation fighter. A fully combat-equipped F-35A is the same price as an FA-18E F, $9.8 million below the $87.7 million base price of an F-15EX, and $40 million less than the Eurofighter.
Ooh,
and all
much
three
cheaper.
of those competitors require additional equipment like multi-million-dollar targeting pods before they can employ weapons in medium-threat combat environments. The F-15EX self-protection system is estimated to cost $7.5 million, and the sniper targeting pod costs more than $1.7 million per jet, making the total cost for a combat-configured F-15EX $19 million more than a full combat-configured F-35A. And none of those other jets would last for a day in a modern-day high-threat environment.
No way. That's what I mean. It just shows, like, obviously cost comes down to everything. I do find the military spend a lot of money on things they shouldn't, and a lot of money gets wasted either by government officials or just people who don't know what they're doing. But if you've got a fighter that's absolutely far way more advanced, better maneuverability, stealth, weapon systems, it can hold payloads, and it's working out cheaper, then why would you not bring it in for sure? One, it just looks better. You can see the difference in technology, the way it's advanced, but if it's holding more munitions, better munitions, you know, it's not getting seen as far out, it's not getting detected as far out, and the cost is cheaper, then it's definitely worth doing. I wonder how they have managed to keep the cost down on that, even though it's a new fighter.
4. Competition has increased performance and driven down costs. The total price of an F-35 is comprised of the aircraft assembled and produced by Lockheed Martin and the F-135 engine produced by Pratt & Whitney plus profit. When a Northrop Grumman-produced aircraft subcomponent called the Distributed Aperture System, or DAS, failed to meet reliability thresholds, the system was replaced with the DAS produced by Raytheon that delivers twice the performance and 5 times the reliability at a per-unit cost 45% lower than the Northrop Grumman model. This switch alone will save the government $3 billion over the life of the program. 5. Not all manufacturers who helped build the F-35 have moved aggressively to reduce costs. Assuming it's stayed on track with Pentagon acquisition estimates, Pratt & Whitney is now delivering F-35 engines for $11.8 million a copy. With production efficiencies, that price was expected to fall to $10.7 million by fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year $12, saving the taxpayer another $1 million per fighter.
Massive.
Unfortunately, without a competitive motor available, Pratt & Whitney has made it clear that further savings are no longer in the cards. The ability to competitively reduce engine cost and improve performance was lost when Congress killed funding for the F-35 alternative engine contract in 2011, leaving Pratt & Whitney as a sole source supplier with no incentive to reduce its profits.
Typical.
6. The F-35A cost per flying hour is falling, but one must wade through Mark Twain's lies, damned lies, and statistics to find out how the jet is doing with this often misconstrued metric. The cost per flying calculations vary significantly between evaluating agencies, but all of them add cost for the F-35 that they don't include for the 4th-generation fighters they compare it to. Electronic countermeasures and precision infrared targeting system are built into the F-35, elevating its maintenance requirements and ultimately its cost per flying. Fighters like the F-15EX, F-16C, and F-A-18EF require additional equipment like external pods to give them similar capabilities, but because they're not built in, the pod's acquisition price is not factored into those 4th-generation jets' purchase price,
of course,
nor are maintenance costs for those systems included in their cost per flying calculations. Lockheed Martin, which shoulders roughly 39% of the F-35 sustainment costs, has reported that its share of the cost has dropped by 44% since 2014. Overall, the F-35's cost per flight hour now stands at roughly $33,000, a figure that includes a roughly
$33,000 an hour. War is expensive.
$1,000 decrease in cost from 2019 to 2021 alone. Lockheed is also hoping to persuade the Department of Defense to enter into a performance-based logistics contract that it says will allow the company to meet government targets for reducing the F-35's cost per flight hour to $25,000 by 2025.
How much money is in the air now? How much is costing them just to fly them
7.
overhead?
Mission-capable rates for the F-35 rose considerably over the last year, but they're still below the 80% mission-capable threshold set for the fleet by Secretary of Defense in 2018. According to Lieutenant General Eric T. Fick, director of the F-35 Joint Program Office, the mission-capable rate rose to 73.2% in 2019, up 18.5 percentage points from the previous year. With a priority for parts, forward-deployed F-35 combat squadrons were able to sustain an 89% mission-capable rate, which means parts availability for the fleet is still an issue.
Parts is always difficult. We struggle in the UK to get parts.
Depots
for a lot
limit
of
the
vehicles.
F-35 mission capability. When an F-35 component fails, it's replaced with an available spare, and the failed part is shipped to a depot for repair. A total of 68 depots are required to effectively sustain the F-35 weapon system, but just 30 are up and running, and only 11 of those are fully operational.
This is what I mean. This is typical. You see this in the UK. This is what we're meant to have. This is what we're trying to have. And this is what we've actually only got. You're meant to have all of this, but we've sort of got this up and running, but we've only got 100% of these like actually running. Like, you never get what you need. There's always some sort of issue. Happened with the Ajax. Meant to have this, but you've only got this. Meant to have all of this, but you're only going to get this. You just don't get what you need. By the end of the year, you're going to have a squadron of vehicles. By the end of the year, you only have one vehicle. By the end of the year, you're going to have all these simulators. They're going to be up and running. Actually, half of them don't work, so you only get half of them. It's always the same.
Parts availability for the F-35 will continue to hold down mission-capable rates until all depots are operating at capacity. Lockheed Martin and the F-35 Joint Program Office have accelerated their efforts to get depots up and running and now project that 64 depots will be operational by 2024, 5 years earlier than the estimated 2029. Assuming funding for parts remains consistent, the parts shortfall will end, allowing fleet-wide F-35 mission-capable rates to meet or exceed 80%. Nine. The helmet-mounted display system for the F-35A is still having problems. The helmet gives pilots an unparalleled level of situational awareness in combat as it displays all critical flight and weapons systems data on the inside of the pilot's visor. The image from the system's built-in night vision camera is also projected onto the visor, as is the image from the distributed aperture system that automatically tracks and provides vivid cues directly to the pilot on the location of friendly and enemy aircraft.
That's mental.
The helmet is a game changer in combat, but interface issues with its display have caused pilots to become disoriented when refueling or while landing the jet at night. Lockheed Martin went to work fixing this system just as soon as pilots flagged it as an urgent operational need, and that fix is currently being fielded for Navy F-35Cs. It may take several years before the helmet fix makes its way to the Air Force.
Helmet looks mental. Like, this is what people don't realise. Like, I want to be a fighter pilot, but the information and the thought processes that you have to do are insane. Just like flying at speed, trying to understand situational awareness, listening to, you mostly got 2 or 3 radio sets in your head going on, so you're mostly trying to speak to the ground, you've got to speak back to base, you've got to speak to other pilots in the air, and then what they do is they put a helmet on you, that puts loads of stuff on the screen as well, and then you've got to try and sort of maintain all of that information and situational awareness. Like, the thought process is the speed while also pulling G's in the air as well as you're turning and maneuvering. It's absolutely insane. But how mega would it be to have one of those helmets? It's just a shame that they just can't get them up to standard. Once again, typical. Like I said, you're meant to have this, but you're only going to get this. This is the F-35, this is the helmet to go with it. We've got the plane ready, but we don't have the helmets. You have to put up with an old helmet. It's always the same. It's ridiculous.
10. The Autonomic Logistics Information System, or ALIS, is still too big, slow, and suffering too many problems. Every aspect of the F-35A's maintenance, supply, and operations are managed through the F-35 ALIS. Much like an Apple iPhone operating system, ALIS is a computer operating system that holds a conglomeration of 65 applications, subprograms, or modules. Some were built exclusively for the F-35A, others are commercial off-the-shelf programs. The problems arise when digital inputs from either the jet or a more modern ALIS application meet analog inputs or processing from another module. The Department of Defense has elected to replace ALIS with a cloud-based operational data integrated network. The new system is designed to decrease workload and increase mission capability rates for all F-35 variants and should begin fielding later this year.
Overall, the F-35A fighter is flying exceptionally well. It now provides the United States with significant competitive advantage against peer competitor threats. Shortfalls in repair parts and other smaller issues need to be fixed as soon as possible, but the capabilities that the F-35 provides the nation today, along with the dramatic drop in price, make Air Force decisions to procure the F-15EX and to not ramp up F-35A procurement very puzzling indeed. The aircraft provides a capability America needs to engage in strategic competition.
Yeah, too right. The F-35 is the aircraft of choice, but there's so many little niggling parts that stop it from being as good as what it is. It already is one of the best fighter jets, you know, in the world. But the fact it's always the small bits that make it the best make it better so they can get on top of that. But there's 10 reasons of why it is the aircraft to go for. Price is dropping, it's multi-role, multi-capability. The maneuverability, stealth, geolocation just puts it as the, you know, as an aircraft to have, and they just need to work on the little niggling parts. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment with what your thoughts are, and I'll see you soon.